Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I am the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Does it ever feel like nothing is being done? Your voice isn't being heard? Does it feel like doesn't matter what side you're on, where you vote this way or that way, all the people saying they're fighting for you aren't really doing that? Does it ever feel like we're under the rule of a UNIPARTY, both left and right, united into an unholy matrimony against the American public for their own self-interests? Republican, Democrat, all wearing faces, taking away from your right to say and have a say in your country, right? Does it ever feel like that? Well, we're being laughed at by CNN. Does it ever feel like that? Well, guess what CNN is saying? They're laughing. They're completely laughing. And they're saying the UNIPARTY myth has shut the house down. It's a myth. It's all a big conspiracy. You're just, oh, where's the UNIPARTY, huh? Where's the big UNIPARTY, is asking CNN. They're talking about the speaker race. And we're going right into it, folks. Cold open. They're talking about the speaker race and how difficult it's been to find a Speaker of the House that would unite the Republican Party and continue the work that Congress has to do to make the country keep going, right? And so they're talking about this and they're laughing. They're saying, whoa, what happened to the UNIPARTY? Remember when you guys were all yelling about, oh, it's a UNIPARTY? They're all against us. CNN talks about how the more radical wings of the movement of the Republican Party would deride and speak on this UNIPARTY, so-called UNIPARTY. What is a UNIPARTY, asks CNN, and then answers their own question. The term UNIPARTY has been a favorite of people like Steve Bannon, former Trump White House official, and others who've been using it for years in conjunction with similar cynical ideas of Washington as a swamp, that it needs to be drained. The term is featured prominently in the more far-right than Fox News media environment. But where's the UNIPARTY? CNN is laughing. Where's the UNIPARTY? Where's its speaker? If it's the so-called UNIPARTY unified against the American public, you conspiracy theorists, where's your speaker, huh? What a way to speak to the American public, CNN. And kick your head back and laugh. Incredible. We're going to get into a bit of this the media a little bit, and a couple of more things today on the American Anchor Baby. Thank you for joining me today, folks. We're about to get going here. And I'm live on Rumble, D Live. Okay, so you can check me out on all those platforms. I'm, of course, live on YouTube. Follow, subscribe, and hit that like button. It sure helps. I know there's many of you. In fact, I already got super chats going already, and I do appreciate it. I'll get to all the super chats. So thank you over here on YouTube. But you can also support me on Rumble, rumble.com/American Anchor Baby, and dlive.tv/Gorgonzola. That's a Gorgonzola like the cheese with a little H-O-L-A at the end. All right. So thank you to everybody who's tuning in and supporting me in the multiple platforms. We'll get into it, all that, and your calls today on American Anchor Baby, 888-775-3773. If you want to jump on the air, let's chat about whatever you like to talk about. But right now, I was telling you about this CNN article that I found so interesting. Because, I mean, who reads CNN anymore but I guess Hake? That's a joke. I'm sure they have plenty of readers. But it's funny how they're talking about this UNIPARTY myth. Oh, what a myth! They laugh. Where's the UNIPARTY speaker? Huh? Multiple Republicans, I'm reading from the article, who supported McCarthy have argued Democrats are to blame for the current lack of a speaker because they did not break party ranks and support McCarthy. There has been no substantive movement towards a unity speaker of some sort, although it is becoming hard to imagine any Republican getting enough support, says CNN. But they laugh. They laugh at this conspiracy of a uniparty. You mean to tell me that there's entrenched people in the government that are working towards their own interest and the interests of their backers, donors, etc., against the public? That's crazy. That's crazy. And if you don't know, the House GOP is now on their fourth attempt at picking a speaker, new speaker nominee. Last night, Republicans in the lower chamber picked Representative Mike Johnson over 4 other candidates. Amazing. And so it's been a little bit of a fight, right? Over this speaker thing. And they're laughing, CNN. The dysfunction on display. But it's all of us who are, or at least the public, the American public that they're laughing at, that is on the short end of the stick, right? And this saga in the Speaker House and all that, I'm sure you know about it plenty. I've spoken about it enough. Is a really fascinating, can we say, microcosm, macrocosm? Pick your fancy words. But it demonstrates to and speaks to, it's a mirror to us, the people. The people are like the government. Okay? And we're divided. And so CNN's laughing. CNN's laughing. And if you've been following the saga, it's significant when you know the details, right? When you know the details, McCarthy getting ousted. And what did they want? What did the holdouts want? What did they dare to want? To fix the southern border, things like that. Pretty significant. So we've been sold out. It seems over and over again, sold out. But CNN says sold out to who? You conspiracy theorists? But then who? But we're left out. We're left out in the cold, wondering, then who is it that's not listening? Because we're out here wanting the border to be fixed. And we're tired of the propaganda, tired of the division, all the lies, the real conspiracy theories in the media that we're supposed to hate each other, that there's racism, that there's this or that, right? So, it's so funny. CNN, the media laughing. We know they're this mouthpiece for the government anyways. But what's going on with, The GOP turns to fourth speaker pick. Truly is a mess. The third speaker pick in 3 weeks lasted barely 4 hours, according to Politico. And you know what? Are they doing anything anyways, right? Shut her down, right? Shut it down. Because that was the whole point, right? Shut it down for the good of the public and the things that needs to get done. And if we don't shut it down, it's just more funding for war and all the things we don't want. So the UNIPARTY is the enemy, and CNN is laughing at that conspiracy. So then who's doing all this, CNN? We're seeing scenes, all these people pouring in the border. These cities in disarray. Drugs, homeless, all that. So who's doing all this, CNN? I'm just left wondering. What are y'all saying in the chat? 888-775-3773. Yes, Nick Streams was indeed on time. What's up, Renee? Indeed. Y'all act like nothing can be done without a speaker. Go read a civics book from 7th grade. Right on, Amber Lance. Because who needs it, right? But the people are retarded, right? The people are like the government. And there's something I've been describing these past few days, or just not describing, but just mentioning how easy it's been these past few weeks to paint a whole bunch of people with the same broad brush. We'll get into that. Something Biden said about Palestine. Where is it? So let's do this in order, huh? Let's run down my show here. So I was telling you about CNN and how funny I found it. Them laughing at us, really, about this whole idea of a uniparty. And it's a major fight. It's a major fight because they need to get stuff funded, right? They got this war and all that. And I've been showing you how the media and politicians, etc., seem to be yelling about and expressing, full support and all that for the war. But the bigger players, Biden, Blinken, they're urging a little bit of calm. They're like, wait a second, hold on, wait. Hold up. Just 1 second. And the New York Times doesn't think that the U.S. can do it. That they don't think that the U.S. and Israel can make it happen. Their planned offensive in Gaza to basically eradicate Hamas and protect Israel. And so in the wake of all that, we're now getting the latest calls for ceasefire from these international councils, okay? You heard from the UN, what was it yesterday I showed you, or the other day? UN saying chill, okay? The WHO, World Health Organization, calls for immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. In this latest update on the news here. And I'm seeing a bunch of people, they're like, right on, UN, right on, World Health Organization. Kind of reminds me on how so many people were against the media. Fake news, the media lies. But then this conflict breaks out, and the media is trustworthy now again, depending on which side you're on. Depending on which team you play for, who you're rooting for, whose jersey you got on, then those sources become all of a sudden trustworthy. So the WHO calls for immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza, and you got multiple. You got a kind of a, in my opinion, a marked change in the tone, at least since I've been following this whole thing that broke out a few weeks ago. There's been like a sort of change in tone a little bit. And like I've discovered, or how should I say, I've basically been trying to get my ducks in order here. and I kind of clued into what's been America's interest in this whole thing since, at least in the recent history, at least since Jimmy Carter, or maybe not Jimmy Carter, but at least since Trump, right? Abraham Accords, Saudi Arabia, recognize Israel as a state, keep things chill, right? And so it seems like this war, if it were to, this, an escalation of this war, doesn't seem like America is actually wanting it. They're actually kind of like, in my opinion, taking a step back. And I think that's a positive development. I think that's a positive development. It shows a little bit of self-awareness in that I think it shows a lack of confidence in winning, okay? Which is good because imagine if these psychos thought they could win. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if these Gotham City villains that run the government thought they could win. So let's hope they think they could. Let's hope that, they believe they'd lose or anything, because we don't want war. But anyways, where was I? They don't think they could do it. And you got to understand that's like pretty, they're saying they're very scared. They're saying the IDF and Israelis are scared, they're saying, to enter a ground offensive, that they don't want a ground combat. This video of this guy, Scott Ritter, former U.S. intelligence, with a, military UN inspector guy. I don't know too much about him. He's got a, you Google him, you get articles about convictions and allegations against this guy. But his video's been going viral on the Israeli ground offensive and how terrified the soldiers are about, the Israeli soldiers are about entering Gaza and doing this guerrilla kind of war.
The Israelis right now are scared to death. Scared to death. They mobilized 360,000 reservists. Let's just put this in perspective. The vast majority of these people did their 2.5 years military service. The Israeli army is not very good. They have some units that are very capable, some of their special forces units, some of their specialized units. They have some technical units that are very good. But the mainstay, the infantry units, the armor units, they're not very good. And they have become even less good by being pulled back from conventional combat duties to policing duties.
And so they've been sharing this video around to say, look, they're very scared. They're very scared to enter all that. And I find I find all this interesting because, particularly because, like, war is hell. War is hell, and then there's a bit of a LARP factor going on here, where you're putting yourself in their shoes, and it's all quite fascinating to me. So that's kind of why I'm interested. Like, you got to take this in. They're saying they're scared, but I think anyone would be afraid. Like, to enter tunnels, to enter entrenched positions, to enter basically funnels of death. You got to imagine it's like a tunnel. Okay, it's like a tunnel, and for a kilometer, it's straight. Like a straight, dark kilometer tunnel. And you got to go in. You got to go in with your crew. Anyone who knows a little bit about military operations, guns, etc., knows about the funnel of death or whatever. Doorways, hallways. You're going to incur some pretty heavy casualties. So I think anybody would be afraid to have to basically deal with modern castles. Tunnels are modern castles. You can build them super deep and for super cheap. Okay, all you need it's just backbreaking labor. You just need some TNT, and you blow they go out, like they can go down like a kilometer. They'll go, and then they'll just carry the rocks out. Backbreaking labor, but it's the modern castle, and you could deal with a large invading force that way. It's Pretty kind of, I just find it the fatal funnel. Thank you, Birdie Bound, Brian. The fatal funnel. I just find military ops and all that quite fascinating. So you'll find me talking about it a lot. And psychology of soldiers. And in context to this latest conflict over in that area. You know, I've found it fascinating, okay, folks? Maybe you've been tired of the coverage. But I find it quite fascinating, the whole thing. And so they got to deal with all that. You can imagine, I don't think anybody would want to do that. And no general or anybody would want to send their soldiers in to do that. You know, unless they really have to. Because as much as you can bomb, as much as you could do the bombing and the strikes or whatever, to finish it off, you got to send boys in. You got to send in men with rifles to take over the position. It's the only way. Boys, men with rifles. And I've been showing you these videos of Gen Z saying they're going to draft dodge and all that. Gen Z, they're going to be a bunch of draft dodgers. And basically military, like the connection to the military, young people's view of authority in military, like it's just shot in this country, and it seems like definitely in this country, right? Just completely shot. And you wonder if it's maybe stuff like this. You know, they tell us, you know, we see the videos, we see the TikToks of the dancing nurses, the dancing soldiers, female soldiers. We've seen the TikToks. They're saying they lowered the standards to let in women into the military. They gave them the pregnant suits. They let them paint their nails. Thanks, little Nick. They let them paint their nails. They let them wear the long hair. And now they have this latest little claim. Female IDF combat squad claims to have killed 100 Hamas terrorists. This all-female squad. 100 Hamas terrorists. Right on, ladies. Right on, ladies. An all-female Israel Defense Force unit eliminated nearly 100 Hamas terrorists, according to their commander, who cited it as proof that there are no more doubts about female combat soldiers. You hear that? No more doubts. It's over. Laid to rest. Okay, laid to rest. No, I don't need proof. No, stop asking for, stop asking. What are you, a terrorist sympathizer? Stop asking for proof. They killed 100 Hamas terrorists. The women did, a squad of only women. And with their bare hands, maybe. I heard rumors it might have been with their bare hands. So don't ever say that women can't be in a combat role. Okay? Don't ever say that ever again. It's laid to rest. You know what's funny? I used to hear the IDF laid to rest that women should be in a combat role. I used to hear this a long time ago. I heard that the IDF famously did something where they put women in a combat role and it didn't work out. And so that they had proved it. I remember reading this article. I wish I could just remembered it. And how they proved it that women shouldn't be in a combat role. So anyways, anecdotal, not really news. But it's all kind of you might wonder, like, maybe some of the I'm trying to describe this relationship that young men used to have with the military, which seems to be all but gone. And the reason I was showing you the IDF, Hamas, and all this, to kind of segue into this, because I've been doing a little lightweight reading about history. You know, the wars, the great wars that happened recently, in the last 100 years, that some say dealt a killing blow to the West, the beginning of the end. The great civil war, the great European civil war amongst the white nations. Their greatest mistake. But even before that, reading a little bit about the monarchies and the peoples of the Western European monarchies. Shout out to Pat Buchanan for all the World War history, and shout out to Sir Robert Filmer. Sir Robert Filmer, who wrote Patriarchy. And he has such a fascinating conclusion about how a government that exemplifies God's order and the family, father, son, father over woman, right? Husband over woman, woman over children. It was what created, the greatest civilizations on the planet. Sir Robert Filmer. And through this reading a little bit, I've come to a little bit of an understanding of the peoples of the early 19th century. Or should I say early 20th century? Late 19th century? And how they loved the military and saw it as something saw it as a vehicle to a greater life. And the ruling class saw the military as a vehicle for a greater life for the lower class. They didn't want them to be left behind. There's this almost picture that's been painted of the ruling elites of the before times when there were kings and pharaohs, and that they hated their subjects and they oppressed them. So the people of the Western European monarchies of the early 20th century were very patriotic. They had a deep respect for the military because it seemed like the military had a respect for them. They knew that you would eat better and higher quality food. You would get educated, network with people, class mobility, etc., for social advancement. And how the ruling class used conscription as a way of lifting up the lower class people so they wouldn't be left behind. And you might think, well, that's a cute way. That's a cute way of making forcing people into service, making that a good thing, making it sound like a good thing. But at the time, there was what they called the Whigs. The Whigs, W-H-I-G, British reformists, basically, who believed they were basically the early Lolbertarians, as Hake calls them. The early Lolbertarians. They were the early libertarians. They wanted liberty from the shackles of the patriarchy. They wanted freedom from the patriarchy. Okay, maybe I'm being unfair. They wanted freedom from the monarchy. And when the Whigs brought up their objections to this conscription and all this, the government has no business doing that. The people revolted. They rebelled. They rebelled because they saw it as a good thing. And I'm trying to describe this connection between government, military, people, and this. There was a sense of, there was a unity, but it wasn't just a unity out of. It wasn't like different parts becoming one. They were the same thing. And let me describe what I'm saying here, if you're even following anymore. Because the people were still signing up for the military, for example, in European countries after World War I, like by a lot. They still had this love for the military, knowing that being a citizen and being an armed citizen, not only armed and well-trained with your rifle, but armed in civics and knowing your country, it made you the citizen of that country, not a servant, not a you know what I mean? Not a servant or a slave or whatever, but it made you a citizen. It all worked in tandem, right? And not only that, not to mention that it was actually a good move. It like actually was like a move that would benefit you. And I'm not saying it won't now, but it seems like public perception of that has definitely changed. Now it's I guess after what some might call unjust wars of the recent century, people just went all hippie or whatever. And I don't blame them. And they're like, no, I'm not with this evil government. And it also brings into perspective this liberal world and life that we live, okay? What I mean is this idea of suffrage, voting is a universal right. You got to imagine these men who became citizens, who wanted to serve, who saw the benefits, who got the education. They would look at those who didn't, women, minorities, and think, well, here's a man who's been taxed, putting risk and effort in his life. How exactly does equality, how does equality work now, all of a sudden? Wait, how does equality work in underrepresented peoples? Things I'm thinking about, military kings and the people. And it makes me think about, it makes me think a little bit about losing the plot, losing sight of who we are, who y'all Americans were, and who these anchor babies appreciate and share a kinship, a heart with. It makes you wonder, like, what did we forget? And I'm seeing that kind of same losing of the plot today. Losing of the mission, right? I'm reminded, I'm anchored, I'm back, and I'm anchored by the message of forgiveness and love. And we'll get into the news, we'll get into the calls, we'll get into everything. In fact, I have calls waiting for me now, and I will get to you. Thank you. 888-775-3773. But I'm left, I'm seeing that same losing of the plot today. You know, I'll see these conservatives, and they'll bust out these videos. And these are really cool edits, okay? And I appreciate them. They're really cool, and I get it. You're trying to stick it to the enemy. Vote Trump. Let's vote Trump. Let's go, right? Let's go. And they'll put out these edits and post these videos here. I'll show you one. And I think it's copyright music a little bit, so I can't play you all of it. And in this video, this they call themselves Little Meme Team, and they're pro-Trump all the way. I don't think they're affiliated or anything, so I won't go too hard on them. But the same spirit they make this video in, a lot of Republicans, MAGA, the MAGA people, the Trump people, they just talk like this. Look, let me show you this video. And this video, it's like an expose, or I don't know, not an it's like a hit piece or whatever. I don't know what to call it. But it's a little edit on Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden. And I believe RFK Jr.'s son? I don't know, someone else's son, but they go hard on them. Like, watch a little bit of this and listen to the song lyrics, and you'll understand what I'm saying.
Forget every time I let you down, screaming, I love you, Dad. But I'm the son you wish you didn't have. Writing my pain on these pages and pushing it out of my mind so I can smile and say, everything's fine.
I'm gonna mute this a little bit because I think this is super copyright. And okay, so they show RFK Jr. I think there's some scandals or something with him. Bobby Kennedy, abuse, scandals, I don't know, abuse treatment, I don't know. Introduce brother to drugs, right? And then they'll show a bunch of Joe Biden stuff, and it's Hunter Biden, and then look, prostitutes. And look, creepy Joe Biden. Oh, look, he's so creepy. Look, we put a red circle around this diary part that says, was I molested? Oh, remember when they said molested and they were talking about molested and that person who's Joe Biden's like family? Remember that? Yeah. And also remember this guy? Remember this degenerate pervert drug guy? Yeah, he's the son of the president. Yeah, imagine that. And then it's like, okay, I'm watching this. And I'm like, wait a second. Oh, thanks, Lil Nick. Appreciate that. Did we lose the plot somewhere, folks? The Trump MAGA heads need a I say don't have a leader, but they need someone to remind them, okay? That we're about love. That's why I've always liked Trump. Because he listens, he understands, and he at least tries his best to do that. We're about love. Wait, what's the mission here? What's the mission here, folks? And remember that guy? And the drugs guy. Oh, my God. And the prostitutes, dude. Oh, so gross, right? Do we lose the plot of nobility? Honor good men? If you've been following along at least a little bit, very nebulous thematics and topics coming at you, but it's there a little bit. Where are the men? Huh? Where'd you go, guys? Even in my chat, he's like, junkie. Look at the junkies. It's like, wait, did you forget that nobody wakes up wanting to be this? About love, says Charlie Church, laughing face emoji ×4. No politicians about love or nobility. Exactly. Because no men are, no people are. The government is a reflection. So when we don't see it in the government, we'd be like, we should really look at ourselves and be like, dang, we kind of lost the plot. We kind of lost the plot here. I'm reminded of when people talk about historical figures. They'll say Robert E. Lee was a racist or he believed in, or someone worse, right? Because Robert E. Lee himself, he was like, he didn't agree with slavery, right? They don't really report on that. But even they'll point to some other person who, I don't know, was pro-slavery and be like, see, look at how gross and evil they used to be. But here we are, with no men, no noble people, no, you know what I mean? Just a little something, huh? Smoke on that, I guess, huh? We'll get into some interesting stuff here. Anti-Semitism and Florida. Incredible stuff. Great. And other news and topics. Okay, folks, thank you. But first, let's get to a call. I have LatinA in Cali. Thank you for your call, LatinA. You're on there. Oh, LatinA, do not hang up. I have you muted. Now you may speak.
Hi, Nick.
Hey.
Can you hear me now?
I do hear you now. Thank you, LatinA.
Okay. I wanted to say that I don't think it's very wise to send any women to war because it takes a woman almost 1 whole year, but a man could impregnate multiple women in one night. So
for the sake of fertility, you're saying let us keep our birthing people.
I mean, it kind of like which one makes more sense logistically.
Wait. You're saying one man can impregnate. Okay, you're saying so you don't need that many men to repopulate. One
man could impregnate multiple women in 1 whole day.
That's why you got to protect the ladies. Protect the ladies, duke it out in war, and the winners will have proven that they can have babies, and they'll only make alphas.
Well, I don't know
That was a
too much
joke.
about Israel, but I'm wondering how come they aren't paying the women and forcing the women, or like ultra encouraging the women to have many babies instead of sending them to war. Like
You mean in Israel or in general?
In Israel, they could be paying, so they force their women to go into the military. But how come they don't just, pay the women to make more babies instead?
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if you knew this. I don't know if you knew this, but in Israel, it's actually mandatory to serve in the IDF for a while. I forget how much, but every citizen must serve, and I like that. I personally kind of like that. Women have to serve as well. Now, that doesn't mean I want them in combat roles and all that, but there's something I like about a nation that operates in that way. And what you're saying about why don't they pay their women over in Israel to have children and all that? I don't know if they really need to, because they seem to have a fine fertility rate. It's much higher than any other of the OECD members in that region. They have a pretty good fertility rate. So their women are having babies.
No, but I doubt that they're having as many babies as the people that they're at war against right now. And the only country that is paying women to have babies is the United States of America, and we're getting a bunch of dodo idiots from them, welfare mamas.
Oh, where are we getting the welfare mamas from?
From the United States of America.
Oh my God, yeah. No,
All
for
these
sure.
welfare mamas
Well, we're not even making them.
Dodo-brained children. Yeah, they're just popping them out like pills or whatever, and they don't even know who the baby daddy is a lot of times, or they claim they don't, so that they can get free babysitting, so that they can go to school all day, so that then they can go get a job at the university, when these women are usually the bottom of the barrel people. And then they don't even bother to really educate their own children, so their kids end up growing up feeling entitled, but then when they I don't know the rest after that, what happens, but I doubt that they're going to be very wholesome, well-rounded people, not even knowing who their daddy is, or not even having a daddy like full-time in the home,
Now, you're LatinA. You have children. I don't want to put out too much of your personal information, but
no, I don't answer too much about my personal self, because I know what the internet is like.
Understood. We don't know if she has children or not, but if you did, would you be okay with them joining the military, I guess? Doesn't matter what you're okay with, but
Well, I'll tell you, I have my father was in the military, his brothers were in the military, and my cousins were in the military, so. It's not like anybody in my family ever said, I'm going to tie you down and keep you like a prisoner in the basement or something, because we ain't letting you go to the military,
What do you think about conscripting? You were saying these welfare mamas, would you say they're bottom of the barrel people? Let's conscript them. Let's conscript them. Out of love, let's conscript them and elevate them by force.
Yeah.
Yeah, LatinA, let's go. Yes, conscription. Don't call it slavery, guys. Stop it. Don't call it slavery. It's forced conscription for the betterment of all people. Right on, LatinA. Well, I appreciate your call. I mean, I agree with you on the women in war. And we're seeing we're seeing, I don't know if you've seen this, LatinA, but there was this recent woman, this Ukrainian woman on the Ukrainian battlefield, basically, and her video went viral, her crying about how so many of her comrades have died recently, and she had this bright purple and blue hair, and didn't look really like a combatant. And I'm left wondering, is that a scene? You know what I mean? Like, I bet you any man in that situation could maybe understand her, But is this crying, purple-haired woman with dead men surrounding her? Is that emblematic of anything?
It sounds like propaganda to me. Like, if you want me to take you seriously, why are you looking like a clown?
Right on. So true, LatinA. Well, call me again if you have anything else to say. Go ahead before we move the wheels.
Yeah, I can't really think. I just wanted to, just say that men are able to get more work done than the women in the bedroom.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
We'll find a place for y'all. Don't worry. They're trying to put you guys in the combat roles, though. Anyways, thanks, LatinA. Call me again. Okay. Nice. Yeah, they're trying to put y'all in the combat roles, ladies. They're saying y'all killed 100 Hamas. Right on, ladies. Isn't that a good? Hey, ladies in my chat, doesn't that just fill you with a sense of confidence? I'll be sure when they come to ask me, hey, Nick, do you have any reasons or evidence as to why we should maybe institute the draft for women? I will be sure to point to the all-female IDF squad that killed 100 Hamas. Right? All right, ladies in the chat, I got your back. I got you. I see your calls coming in, 888-775-3773. Or maybe not. You can call. Where was I? Let me close all this and get to something else. What a mess. Okay. Did I show you the hell is for children thing? Oh, yeah. Let me show you this. So they're saying Florida has ordered universities to deactivate pro-Palestinian group. Students for Justice in Palestine chapters at Florida universities are facing a cancellation. And that's because of Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, governor in Florida, responding to this push, directed state universities Tuesday to disband campus groups with ties to the National Students for Justice in Palestine. And the organization marking the final punishments handed down to colleges here amid the Israel-Hamas war. In a memo to school leaders, the state ordered a crackdown on campus events led by the pro-Palestinian organization that the DeSantis administration claims amounts to harmful support for terrorist groups like Hamas, which attacked Israel, blah, blah, blah. There are at least 2 Students for Justice in Palestine chapters at Florida universities facing cancellation through ties to the national organization. Florida is targeting the groups over a toolkit published by the national organization that has received growing attention from officials. And here's what's amazing. Oh, hold on. Here's what's amazing. Because these punishments were doled out to student groups, it comes as state policymakers, such as DeSantis, have pressed university leaders to penalize anti-Israel dissent on campuses. This move hold on. I mean, this move follows what DeSantis has been doing in Florida to combat what he calls anti-Semitism, okay? If you remember, he basically was passing bills against it. Okay? Signs legislation further combating anti-Semitism. That's what Ron DeSantis did. I mean, I remember this story not too long ago. you know, he flew over to Israel as part of his international trade mission. Okay, I'm reading this from FloridaGov.com. I'm reading FLGov.com, and I'm reading the article here that Governor DeSantis visited Israel, where he signed House Bill 269 to provide law enforcement agencies with new enforcement mechanisms to punish perpetrators of anti-Semitic incidents. But this is like, you can dress it, you could call it anti-Semitism, you could call it hate, you could call it woke. I don't care. I don't care what you call it. But here we have an American governor of a U.S. state signing bills for anti-Semitism, censoring groups in these universities. I mean, this is censorship. This is straight up censorship, no? This is straight up censorship. That's not. I don't know. In my lack of, I'm ignorant to the policies and the inner workings. But am I too simplistic in saying this is not very America first? This is not very Christian. It's just on its. It's what it seems like to me. Not very Christian. Not very America first. And I'm not cool with these, what amounts to, let's call it hate groups, right? If you're a group of people outside protesting, not aware of what you're even doing protesting for, out there thinking you're changing something with all your emotion, thinking anger is good, yeah, you're a hate group. I don't care what your politics and what you stand for. And you got these hate, I don't like that. These hate groups in the streets coming out of our universities, supporting mess. But it's about the principle, right? It's about it's about the principle, right? You can't just pick and choose Ron DeSantis. That's my point here. It just doesn't seem very American, okay? I don't know. Maybe I'm too simple. Doesn't seem very American. It's not very freedom of you. You know what I mean? Anti-Semitism. You know, KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre, was getting a lot of backlash recently over this clip here. You know, they asked her, she's the White House press secretary. They asked her about what is Biden's concern about anti-Semitism? Is Biden concerned at all, KJP? And can you tell us how he's feeling? Can you tell us, KJP?
His level of concern right now about the potential rise of anti-Semitism in light of everything that's going on in Israel?
So a couple of things. We have not seen any credible threats. I know there's been always questions about credible threats, and so just want to make sure that that's out there. But look, Muslim and those perceived to be Muslim have endured a disproportionate number of hate-fueled attacks. And certainly President Biden understands that many of our Muslim, Arab Americans and Palestinian American loved ones and neighbors are worried about the hate being directed at their communities, and that is something you heard the president speak to in his address just last Thursday. And so one of the things that the president has done is directed his team, Homeland Security team, to prioritize prevention and disruption of any emerging threats that could harm the Jewish, the Muslim, Arab Americans, or any other communities, and that is something that the president has sought to do.
Is KJP super based or something right now, or is that just a mistake? Or is this just a pure mistake? She said Muslim. She said Muslim. She did mention Jewish later. Is she using, how is she defining Semite? That's right. Good. She was asked about anti-Semitism. But wait a second. How is she defining Semite? Because I said this the other day, and I was joking because I don't really know. I just heard this once, that Arabs and Jews are all Semites. Is that KJP flexing some esoteric knowledge, or is that a mistake? Because she's including all Semites in that. And if that is true, and that's not a fake news, then right on, KJP. Standing up for all Semites. Biden's level of concern for anti-Semitism. Like, you're going to hear that word so much now. It's such a dumb, it's like hate crime, right? It's like calling something a hate crime. When crime is, it's angry, it's hateful. But what does Biden think about anti-Semitism? Is he worried? Well, I don't know. He tweeted this, or I don't know, someone in his team tweeted this just today. Just today. We must, without equivocation, denounce anti-Semitism. We must, without equivocation, denounce Islamophobia. To all of you hurting, you belong. You're all America, says Biden. Hey, you know what, Biden? This is what you got to do. I realized recently. This is the move that the American empire has to say, because it's in their interest to keep some semblance of stability amongst the different diasporas, groups, and religions in America in their empire. Any instability will just cause issues. Instability. So in the name of stability, you all belong. You're all America. I used to wonder why politicians would say that. You're all America, or America is an idea, and there's people coming over because they want to be American. And it's just like, what is America and American then? What does that mean? And, I've expressed my thoughts on that over the show, over the years, over the months. Has it been years already? Holy. About the progeny of America and the Europeans, and also a little bit of the spirit in the guests and the anchor babies, all that. We've talked about it. But I used to wonder, wow, you're all America, says Biden. And I realized recently, this is just like empire strategy. This is just like empire building strategy. You got a populace of people, you got your borders, you got your satellites, you got your colonial states. They don't call it that anymore, though. They don't use that C word anymore. But you got your colonial states and proxies around the world. They just don't call it that anymore. And so what is bad for the empire? Infighting, instability. So we must, in a empty communist way, erase it all, so we can paint it all with the same color. That would be the best case scenario, so that we can erase instability and keep the empire going. It's not about actually what Americans are. It's just empire. You know what I mean? Like empire strategies. Not about the actual people and nation of America. And so you also start to maybe realize this empty look at what America is and ourselves from the government might also be a mirror reflection of the emptiness within people. Well, I don't know, Christian America, I don't know. I hate my parents anyways. They're all old dinosaurs. They don't know what they're talking about. What's America? I don't know. I just want to do fentanyl. I'm depressed. I don't know. I just want to give me something that feels good. I want to manja. I want to Uber Eats that and Tinder that. Do you start seeing the picture a little bit, or am I wrong? Is this a big stretch? Tell me. I appreciate it if you tell me I'm wrong. 888-775-3773. You're all America, says the empire. And you'll all be America. If we win the war, Uncle Sam needs you. Anyways, Am I rambling, folks, or am I on it? Let's be real. Hit me up. Age of Empires was a pretty fun game. Yeah. And that's what these people are playing. They're playing Age of Empires with us. And we just want America. And the American anchor baby appreciates the plight of the Americans and wishes them to continue on. I know I benefit. But it's true. It's I wish the Palestinians a home. I wish the Jews a home. And the Americans, absolutely. Come on, let's be real. Okay. Well, where was I? Oh, yeah. Talking about nations and stuff a little bit here. And I see your calls coming in. Thank you. 888-775-3773. Talking about everything I said so far. You're all American, right? Nations, etc. I stumbled upon an old Jerry Springer video.
I'm 11.
It was on Twitter. Let me see if I can pull it up. And it was Jerry Springer. You know the show Jerry Springer. It's a mess show. It's a mess show. They bring drama. They bring on people. They have a theme. They have some degenerate theme like, oh, my husband has a secret to tell me, and then they're on air. I don't know. I bet you some of, like all reality TV or whatever, some of those there's some embellishments and some stagings, but there's also some reality in reality TV and all that kind of stuff. There's some. And there's one that's kind of going viral, an old episode with Jerry Springer with racist kids. Racist kids. And they brought on these teenage racists, they say. And Jerry Springer, well, he was so perturbed by the racism of these young teens that he had to deal with it because he, like in his own words, these teens will grow up one day with this hate, this racism. And so to combat this, he brought them on to say their piece, but he also had an audience of teenagers and children their age so that they can have an open discussion about hate. And so let me see if I can show you just a little bit of this. Let me see if I can show you just a little bit of this. I found this fascinating. I found this just today. Just give me 1 second.
I'm 11 years old. I'm 12 years old. And I'm 14.
It's sped up too. It's a little sped up. So you might find the speaking a little strange, but I still think you can understand. So here is that Jerry Springer Racist Kids episode.
I'm 11 years old. I'm 12 years old. And I'm 14. We believe that blacks are not equal to whites, and when the time comes, God will demand us to kill all Jews.
Whoa!
Listen to what you just heard. These are vile words that did not come out of the mouth of some middle-aged bigot. They came out of the mouth of a child. And so the question now is, how do we deal with it? Because we do have to deal with it. One day, these kids are going to grow up, and that poison is going to be spread. So how do we deal with it? Well, I thought we'd do something different here today. What I didn't want to do is just fill the audience with adults and then have the grown-ups talking to the kids and saying, kids, you got to straighten yourself out. You can't live like this. This is America. No, instead, what I thought we're going to do is today our audience is comprised almost exclusively of kids their own age. Kids talking to kids about the poison of America, which is racism. Stay with us.
The poison of America. And let me get to the part that I wanted to show you. Let me get to the part that I wanted to show you. Because these kids, they basically Bible thump at each other in one moment, in one instance. They Bible thumped at each other. Check it out. Okay, let me show you a little bit here.
Nobody don't touch no monkey. Repeat that. I can't understand what you're saying.
What? Go ahead.
Rude.
Why did you take it out on everyone? Everyone didn't do that to you. Excuse me?
Yeah.
I said, why do you take it out on everyone? Everyone
Why
didn't.
are you taking it out on everyone? Not all these people did that to you, young white teenager. Forgive.
Hurt you. Listen, I have a black friend in school. I have nothing against blacks. She has nothing against me. She understands where I'm coming from.
And where's that?
I'm coming from the Holy Bible. It says it right in the Bible.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm a Jew, and I just like to say that, you know, in our Bible it says that you're like animals.
What Bible are you reading from?
The Bible that was made a long, long time ago.
Let me see if I can slow it down. Because the way this was recorded and put up is they sped it up.
Oh, you're like animals. Excuse me, I'm...
So let's watch that again.
I'm coming from the Holy Bible. It says it right in the Bible.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm a Jew, and I just like to say that, you know, in our Bible it says that you're like animals.
What Bible are you reading from?
The Bible that was made a long, long time ago. And your Bible was just maybe because you wanted to. You wanted to make a Bible.
The Jews crucified our God.
The what?
The Jews are responsible for crucifying our God.
Well, I just want to know, why don't you like Jews? They're just like you. They have 10 fingers, 10 toes. They have the same hair. Just
right on, little black kid. They got 10 fingers. Hey, let's watch that again.
I just want to know, why don't you like Jews? They're just like you. They have 10 fingers, 10 toes. They have the same hair. Just why don't you like them?
The devil's children.
What?
How am I going to like somebody that crucified my God?
Excuse me, did you...
I forget where it was, and I think it was quite a bit later, and I'm sorry I can't show you the part because I wanted to the full report on this. I wanted to show you this same girl right here she's the one that hates the Jews. Then you had the Jewish girl in the audience saying, well, my Bible says you're animals. You had the young black kid saying, well, they got 10 fingers and everything. Why you hate them? And she says, well, they killed our God. They killed our God. And then later on, she points to a Bible verse. She points to a Bible verse and she says that it's this Bible verse that says that Jews are of the devil or something. So check it out. She points to John 8:44. John 8:44. And in the NIV, New International Version that I'm reading here right now, they titled this segment of John 8 from 31 to 42, Dispute over whose children Jesus' opponents are. And it was so interesting. Okay, so let me see if I can unpack this for you. You can understand my thinking here. Let me know if you're not following. So I showed you these children, teenagers' children, basically repeating things they heard. Saying, yo, you killed my God, she said. Saying, you're an animal. My book, the Jewish girl, said, well, I'm a Jew, and my book says you're an animal. And this girl saying, well, John 8:44 says you're of the devil. And I want to read John 8 a little bit because I think with everything we've talked about so far today, maybe, if you could enter the mind of the anchor baby, we may be able to actually get the true insight on what this actually meant. And so I want to get that out of the way, and then I kind of already said it. Basically, I already showed you how it's these children, mirrors of the people before them, mirroring the words they heard, mirroring the teachings they have, the governments of the world mirroring us. Like it's all a big tapestry. You see the picture I've painted, folks? Do you see it? Or am I just crazy? Let me read a little bit of this passage. We'll do a little bit of our own Bible thumping. Isn't it amazing how you could turn anything into hate? So, what was Jesus saying here? To the Jews who had believed him, Jesus said, if you hold my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. They answered him. The Jews answered Jesus, we are Abraham's descendants and have never been slaves of anyone. How can you say that we shall be set free? Jesus replied, very truly I tell you, everyone who sins is a slave to sin. Now a slave has no permanent place in the family, but a son belongs to it forever. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. I know that you are Abraham's descendants. Yet you are looking for a way to kill me, because you have no room for my word. I am telling you what I have seen in the Father's presence, and you are doing what you have heard from your father. Abraham is our father, they answered. If you were Abraham's children, said Jesus, then you would do what Abraham did. As it is, you are looking for a way to kill me, a man who has told you the truth that I heard from God. Abraham did not do such things. You are doing the works of your own father. We are not illegitimate children, they protested. The only father we have is God himself. Jesus said to them, if God were your father, you would love me, for I have come here from God. I have not come on my own. God sent me. Why is my language not clear to you? Because you are unable to hear what I say. You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. John 8:44, the one I just read, was the verse that young white girl pointed to, or I don't know what she was, but the verse that she pointed to say that the Jews were devils. And the Jewish girl pointing to her book and the teachings they got. All showing the blindness, I think, the same blindness Jesus was talking about here. The exact same blindness. Caring about your descendant from Abraham. But I'm a descendant from Abraham. I'm a chosen person. I got the lineage. But Jesus is like, yeah, but look at you. There's nothing son of God about you, even though you claim to be of the Abraham. Look at you, Christians. Look at you, all people. What is it? How is the Spirit of the Father really in you? If it was, you would do what Abraham did and not bellyache about this lineage and Abraham is our father, and the heart must be clean. The heart must be clean. And so that always kind of anchors me a little bit. And anyways, you see what I'm saying here? Isn't that kind of interesting? Isn't that kind of interesting? Fighting for saying you belong to your father, the devil. Oh, the Jews are the devil. So blind. Don't you see that? Don't you see that Jesus was saying that these particular Jews belong to their father, the devil, simply because their heart was unclean. They were not born again. And so that's why they hated him. Okay, so anyways. Is that it? Anyways, let's break the cycle of hate, y'all. Okay, I got Steve out of Ohio. You're on the air. Thank you.
Nico, what's up, man?
Steve, all is well, sir. And yourself?
Very well, very well. Just getting out of work.
Very nice.
Yeah, I would like to comment on that last bit you kind of unpacked there. Got my my wheel turning on the rat on the hamster wheel turning.
All right, cool.
So I kind of want to link it to like Babylon, like all the division and subdivision within all these religions. I think it would link back to Babylon when the tower fell and everyone had a distinct language. It might still be that kind of curse running through. If it's a curse or not, I'm not sure, but it really does seem like it's nothing new under the sun, like Satan's old tricks. He just can't learn a new one.
I don't know too much about Babylon, and I've heard of the Tower of Babel or whatever growing up. And all I know is I think man tried to build a tower to reach God.
That's my understanding, too. I didn't read it, but that's my understanding of what I was told,
I think I've heard that same kind of story play out in different, I want to say the word allegory, but I'm not trying to make a historical claim here, whether it existed or not. But I see that same kind of story played out, man trying to be God and, getting punished.
So the thing I think about also is it's like, what kind of soda pop you like? Do you like Coke? Do you like Pepsi? Do you like RC? But it's all the same drink, you know?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
No?
No, it's not. No. Coca-Cola is the way, the truth, the lie. Pepsi and RC are you just take one sip and you know they're cheap imitations of the real thing.
Okay. Nico, hear me out, man.
I know. I'm sorry. I stepped all over you.
No. Let's rope it in. All right, Coca-Cola is like Christianity.
Okay.
And Pepsi is like being a Jew. And RC is like Islam.
Okay.
You know, no one really likes Islam, but they were told to like it because they couldn't afford Pepsi or Coke at the time. So they just went along with it like, hey, man, this is way better than Pepsi. Just because they were told that their whole life.
I see.
But it's really in the eye of the beholder, you know.
Can I add to the analogy here and bring it home? Because
the allegory hit it home.
Okay, so RC Cola is Islam, Pepsi is Judaism, Coca-Cola is Christianity. Okay, they all try and okay. So we're following. Pepsi and RC are perversions of, like, modern Pepsi and modern RC are perversions. Like, somewhere along the way, the original Pepsi and RC got corrupted, and even Coca-Cola itself got corrupted a little bit. It used to have a real kick, I heard, back in the day.
Exactly.
And even Coca-Cola's been corrupted. So there it is. The trio of sodas, the Abrahamic sodas.
No, it's so right, man. They took the zing out of the Coca-Cola, like the actual truth of why it was called Coca-Cola.
Exactly.
And they nerfed it. So now we got some imposters sitting there, and we think it's the real thing.
Right on. Hey, the Abrahamic sodas. You heard it here first, folks.
Hey, but my point I wanted to actually call in about was martial arts and how it can help you be, like, you know, keep your mind where your body is.
Okay.
So I trained jiu-jitsu, like, on and off for a while now, and I yesterday just started going back, and man, it's crazy how much it'll take you out of all this riffraff going on with politics and this God's better than that God, because you're so focused on what you're doing, and you have to, or else, like, you let this guy take your arm, he's going to snap it if you don't tap, you know, like it's something.
Ain't no time for
really
Israel Hamas at that moment.
No, you're worried about getting your stuff broke.
Yeah, all my friends who fight, they're like totally chill, and you know, I mean, they're just having the best time. But only when they're in the ring, though. Only when in the ring. Some of them, when they're out of the ring, they kind of fall apart. But that's another story.
Well, I was going to say part of it, too, is the humbling that you get. You know, you think you're big and tough, and some dude that weighs 50 pounds less than you taps you, you're like, whoa. It really kind of puts you in perspective, like, okay, I'm just some other guy. I'm nothing, you know?
I hear you.
Yeah,
no, I hear you. A good flurry of strikes definitely humbles you.
Well, it definitely. I don't do the striking, but the jiu-jitsu, it's like grappling and just submissions type deal.
Nice.
But either way, man, it can really just bring your mind back to where your body is, and also with what's going on, it might be important to train up.
Oh yeah, I know. We need to. Well, I don't know. Depends on how you want to play the draft. Okay, what angle you're going at. Okay, like let's say you got like a blinker going on. It's super loud.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know you got to turn safely, but you know it is super loud.
All right. All right, my turn's about to be over here.
But it depends on what angle you want to play the draft at. Okay, it's like, okay, let me get fat so that they put me somewhere else. You know what I mean? It depends. I don't know what your strategy is, but hey, take the good advice, folks. A little bit of exercise and getting yourself combat ready. You're not going to regret it.
Right on. Thank you, Nico. That's all I have for you, man.
Call me again, Steve. Appreciate it.
All right. Later, brother.
Nice. Let's keep rocking these calls back to back. Frederick, Los Angeles. You're on the air, sir. Thank you for your call.
What's going on, Nick?
All is well, sir. And yourself?
the analogy. We're gonna go a little further and say Maya is the carbonated water and the sugar. How
Oh,
about that?
come on.
Yeah. Hey.
I never heard of Maya till you told me. How can it be the carbonated
because
water?
you never tasted greatness. Of course, Coke would taste like Coke and be the best if you never tasted where it came from before. That's why RC tastes so good to them. They never got to experience Coke the way you have.
And
so if you only give somebody some BK out of some bootleg, they're going to be like, wow, them Africans thinking BK or some off-brand, whatever. It's Coca-Cola. They will fight you for that BK over Coke.
These analogies are next level. Okay, let's say I grant you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Let's say I say that Mayat is the carbonated water, which I think is a bit of a stretch. But let's say Mayat is the carbonated water. Coca-Cola is then the logical conclusion. You know what I'm saying? Kind of how like the true Judaism from the Bible, they were around. And then Christians came and then concluded it and finished the whole thing.
I like what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? And so the Mayat carbonated water should be thankful to the conclusion and truth that Christianity Cola brought.
Listen, Nick.
Okay, let me listen.
Open your soda. How long does it stay carbonated? You always got to return to the Father now.
Next level. I appreciate that.
Go flat. Now look.
I'm impressed, Frederick. I'm impressed.
The
analogies
that y'all was writing these scribes on came from Egypt, papyrus. Now, all the way into China started making paper. Who was returning to the Father to write this stuff down during Jesus' time? All the Jews got their paper from Egypt, the carbonated water.
But I don't care who made papyrus. It's about thank you. Okay, can we be thankful for the ones who made paper, and can we also be thankful for the ones who brought us the civilized world and brought Jesus to the corners of the earth? You know, they both have their place.
It's a fabrication, and it's not doing us no good. If Moses went up the mountain and came down with bricks and had to carry bricks compared to papyrus, why would he be raised as an Egyptian and then start writing on tablets that could break? He broke one coming down Mount Sinai. So therefore, he needed to return to the Father even to get papyrus, to get his carbonated water, to give the knowledge. You always got to return to the Father.
And so how did Moses return to Mayat?
Yeah, return to Mayat and write about this Israel stuff.
I would like to learn. How did Moses return to Mayat, or what's the connection there?
No, the connection is these videos you've been playing is enlightening me, because the devil always returns to the Son. They don't return to the Father. They turn the Son against the Father, like they did King Tut. Akhenaten was the one that said, let my people go, left from Egypt, down into Ethiopia. The Jews seen the story, stole it, plagiarized it, put Moses in the place. Then they took it up into Israel, fed it back to us, enslaved us, said Ham was black and he's going to be cursed for 400 years. And now y'all fighting with this drink, and now the truth is coming out, Nick. This is revelations right here. You got to see it. And the stuff that's going on, you're not going to think black people are going to sit back and say, Palestine, they're going to enslave these people. Like, we're going to watch that happen again. We can see how it happened to us over this religion stuff. So we're not going to let it just continue to keep happening and pushing this fairy tale that people don't believe.
Well, let me say this. No, definitely. Let me say this. Because the things that you said about the Jewish story being plagiarized and all that, I don't know. I can't confirm or not. And also the other things you said about what's to come in Revelations, I think might be in your head a little bit and making assumptions. I think you may be jumping the gun a little bit, Frederick.
Moses?
Say again?
Do they study Moses in that Talmud?
Do they? I don't know.
They go back and they do study Moses, not Abraham. They study Moses, who was raised as the Egyptian. But it's okay. Go ahead.
Right. So I was saying, I don't know about the claims on the plagiarism or the things you're saying about the future. I think might be, in your head a little bit like jumping the gun.
Yeah.
But about that. I forgot. But
Yeah.
what was I saying?
The
You were saying
religion wars-
Moses. You
the
were saying
religion
Moses.
wars-
The black. Oh yeah, this is what I was going to say. I don't know about all those things, but you were saying these videos I'm playing. You're talking about what?
Of the
specifically?
father.
The
Yeah,
father.
remember the Hamas son
Yes.
that turned against his father?
Yes.
And then King Tut turned against his father, and then another one today turned against his father. Yeah, you played another son that was turning against his father.
Mm-hmm. And the children too, and the Jerry Springer show, talking about racism and just adopting the hate of their own, in my opinion, their own families and parents. So the breakdown of the family and all that, huh? What's my yacht got to say about families?
Oh, family, the woman is like, I'm not going to say equal as an authority with the man, but they don't make them submissive and try to control them with the, you know what I'm saying, with the word. They have.
So Mayats don't believe in the order man over woman. Oh, I'm sorry. Mayats don't believe in man over woman, woman over children?
Not as if the Bible put it. Not as if the Bible.
Is there a different way that Mayat puts it?
Yeah.
And what is that?
Maya puts it, God made man and woman on the wheel at the same time, not from the rib, and she's supposed to be submissive. Like
So they're equal.
Yeah, pretty much equal, but not as in the authorial level.
David C. in my chat is asking, who is Mayat?
Like yin and yang. They'll figure it out. KMT, Kemet, it's the ancient Egyptian religion that came before the Ptolemies and the Greeks. They copied it in Osiris and all of those figures with the Greek figures, and they tried to be like the ancient Egyptians. And they have their lineages from timeline, from Pharaoh to son, from Pharaoh to son, and there's never been one that got
kind of like the lineage
flood.
of the Abrahamic religion and all that. It's like, oh,
But
look at my
one
special
killed in
lineage.
No flood, chasing nobody out of Egypt. So I don't know which Pharaoh that was. We got They say it might.
Well, thank
be
you for that.
Ramses or something.
Thank you for that. My
Yeah, look it
chat
up.
will probably appreciate because they're wondering what Mayat is. But listen, I want to get back to what I was asking you. You're saying they're equal, and you're saying Mayat told you that they're equal, but hasn't life told you otherwise? Like your own, you know how God, you know how you saying God, you know how we both agree God made us and all that. But you're saying Mayat told you that women and men are equal. But you know how God gave you eyes?
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you able to see that men and women are not equal?
No.
Okay.
How do you see that?
Okay, sure. So, just the most obvious and basic, obviously, is just that it's like self-evident in their weaker vessel, physical status, that kind of stuff. Do you see it? Do you see the physical? Do you see how they're physically not equal?
Their mental can be outmatched.
Wait, but what about the physical? We'll get to the mental. Don't worry.
They can be unphysically. Yeah, they're unphysically matched.
So they're not equal like that, right?
Right.
Right, and your own eyes and your own that God gave you and all that lets you see that. And so Mayat is wrong about that. Or I don't know what they're saying,
they're
but
not
okay.
wrong about that. They're right about that because the woman has the influence over that muscle because she's nurturing that kid. So that muscle belongs to her.
Gotcha.
Anything physical that she produced out of her womb is going to do what she tell it to do. So it'll kill her husband or baby daddy if she tell it to. If she got the more time with that baby, that muscle is her muscle. So she has just as much. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
Totally. Okay, so I'm following you. So you agree, but you see that they're
I'm seeing
with
right
your own
down
eyes.
under this,
With your own
under
eyes, you
this
see that they're not
matrix,
equal
under
physically,
this
correct?
matrix,
Let's get to the
under
mind.
this
You said the
matrix.
mind. You were saying something about the mind, that they're
yes,
smart or
under
something.
this matrix, the mind can be fleas in a jar.
How come there are men and how come there are men and women chess leagues?
Chess?
Yeah, you know they separate chess they separate chess
They
competitions
got,
by men and
black
women.
And white water fountains. Just because they got black and white water fountains don't make it right.
All right, man.
I mean, come on. You don't think a woman can beat a man in chess?
Well, I didn't say that I can't do that, but there's a reason why they have different.
Do you think there's
a different
men
why?
that
Let me
can
finish.
think-
There's a reason why they have different leagues or whatever to compete, and it's you. I mean, this is clear. You could look it up. One of the top female chess players. Super viral moment in the chess world. She goes up against like a 9-year-old, and it was a bunch of 9-year-olds in a row, and they all destroyed her.
using brain power, money, and resources, who will win the fight between Oprah and Jesse Lee Peterson?
Brain power. Wait, see, this is what you're nitpicking. You're cherry picking.
No, because
what did you say though? What I want to answer. What did you say? Brain power. What did you say?
So if you get in a
fight
power, money and resources off your mind, and you're going against another man's mind that can't produce what this woman's producing, who's going to win that war?
To get
He's producing
using brain power resources to do what? To do what?
War, to go to war. If she can produce
Jesse Lee
more
Peterson.
money and resources off her brain power than a man, how is a man going to win a war against a woman?
So let me just get the question right. You got Oprah and Jesse Lee Peterson versus, right? And you're asking me who would win in a war? Or are you asking me who would make more money? What are you asking me?
Using their money and resources.
Gotcha. And brain
Who
power.
would win a war?
Jesse Lee Peterson.
How?
Easy peasy. Don't you know the calm one wins the war?
No.
Don't you know that understanding of your enemy has nothing to do with resources and brain power?
Security wins the war.
You're asking me who would win in a war. We're keeping it very abstract, right? You're saying security wins the war. I don't know. Let's keep it simple and abstract in your hypothetical. And I got two people versus, right? Oprah versus Jesse. Who would mastermind, I guess, be better? Let's make it clear. Who would be a better general? Who would be a better general in a war?
No, a war against each other, yes.
Just a war against each other, like fighting with their hands?
Going to war against Jesse. And they got money and resources.
Right. And
Jesse
so
gotta use his
essentially what you're asking is if they're
Oprah's
generals
money.
of an army. Because you're not saying if they're fighting each other with their hands, right? You're saying if they're generals of an army.
No, they're not. Yeah.
Because it's not about
generals of their own army.
Jesse Lee Peterson would win.
Huh?
Jesse Lee Peterson would win.
Yeah, right.
It's about knowing your enemy.
No.
Absolutely. You really think because let's get down to this is stupid. This is obviously a fun, dumb hypothetical. But you're asking me you're not asking me if Oprah and Jesse were in a fist fight. Obviously, you're asking essentially what you're asking is if they were like what, generals of an army or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me Oprah is going to be a better general than Jesse?
Yeah.
All right, man.
She's gonna reach
Frederick
more
from
people
LA,
through her
folks.
airwaves.
Frederick from LA. Hey, no, you made your opinion. We all heard it. You made your opinion. We all heard it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, because she's going to reach more people with money and resources.
No, you're adding to it. You're adding to it.
No,
with all things equal, Oprah is a general, and Oprah and Jesse both leading an army of exact same sizes, exact same armaments, exact everything.
You're changing it.
You know that Jesse would win.
No, you're changing it.
Okay, fine. Sorry, I changed it. But in my changed scenario, what do you say?
Yeah.
In my changed hypothetical, what do you say?
No, you changed the hypothetical. Using Oprah, that's why I use Oprah, because her money can defeat a lot of men if she was using her money and her own brain power and resources. So therefore, it ain't about how strong
you think men and women are equal, and you haven't really proved it. In fact, you think Oprah would win as a general in a war. You literally think Oprah's mind is more sound and has more understanding than Jesse Lee Peterson. You literally just said that. I don't know, y'all. I'd rather Coca-Cola than 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒂𝒎 carbonated soda. I don't know about y'all folks, but hey, Frederick.
You can't have Coca-Cola without the carbonated water.
Yeah, that's what you say. That's what you say. That's just something you say. You're just saying that. We don't know that. Man, Frederick, awesome call. Thank you. Call me again, sir.
All right, have a good one.
Take care. The Abrahamic Sodas. What a mess. This is why you watch the show, I guess. I mean, hard-hitting commentary, super important. I hope you're at least enjoying it, huh? American Anchor, baby. I'm having fun. Okay, I'm kind of downplaying my own show here, but I'm having fun. And maybe you even got a little something. I hope you did. And I have another call. Let me rock and roll it. Justin, Fullerton, California. You're on the air. Thank you.
Oh, hi. I was calling, Nick, regarding your comment about Jerry Springer and the child that quoted the scripture. And how you read it, I was thinking earlier in my quiet time today how Jesus came for the lost sheep. He's the good shepherd, he says. And that's who he came for. So that's why there's many Jews that don't listen and many that probably crucified him. But he's the good shepherd for all. And that's why the Gentiles, too, were continually the place that the Jews that were believers of Jesus left to, and they continue to spread the word. But that's why they left, because they were kicked out by the Jews that didn't listen. And the good shepherd, those who listen to him, they're his flock, and those who don't, they're not.
Very interesting, man. You're making me think of how easy it is for people to quickly, paint everybody like the same. When I'm seeing Jews, they're like pro-Palestine, they're like you know what I mean? There's all kinds. And I'm seeing the same internal fight in Israel, even in, I don't know too much about Palestine, that's happening over here. Blind people. So interesting.
Yeah, he talked in parables, so those who could listen, and those who could hear. But if people are just jabbing with their lips and talking about Maya, then you're forgetting about things like the Samaritan woman who knew he was the Mashiach, the Messiah, the one, that people didn't study, even within their own culture or religion. She did. And
what happened with the Samaritan?
So there was a time that I recall where he was talking to a good Samaritan. He ministered, I guess you could say. It's in John 4 somewhere, and how he, I think people forget that he traveled amongst a Gentile region. And so
Could you just stay close to your phone, please, Justin?
Yeah, he was talking in John 4 about the fact that he was going to those who could hear him, and it not necessarily was his own flock.
Gotcha. Right. He went amongst the nations, right?
Yeah, and that's why his disciples, spread out the word to all nations of the world. And it's his own flock that has turned away from him. But it's the remnant, if people want to study it out, and they can understand who he was talking to, and that's why he had died for all, not just for those chosen ones. There was nothing to do with inheritance or anything like that.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. Everything I read about Jesus, everything I read about the words he says and all that, they always point to everything that the world is not pointing at. The unseen world, the hidden, the heart, the things that you can't measure, the things that you can't judge in others. The answer. You know what I mean? Everything he talks about is about the inner kingdom. And I realize what I'm trying to say is that they talk about walking this path, the wide road to destruction and the narrow road to salvation. And the narrow road is and the wide road, that whole thing is completely about what's going on inside of you. The roads that you walk, he's referring to your heart. You know what I mean? Not about all these masks and titles and false identities that we're talking about. All this outer stuff, this shell stuff.
Right, and that's why some children were taught that some are animals and some were taught that they killed their God.
Yeah.
Because the people that taught were not of God, were not followers, were not listening to the words of his son, and therefore those who do hear and follow definitely lead, themselves closer and closer to God, and they're going to see the face of God, and so a lot of people that are not seeing him are willfully living within the sin that separates them from God, and they're only left with hell as their future, not condemnation, but it's an absence of God. And God, was amongst us, and some believe that the Son of God is, just as some might believe, the Messiah. And, the thing I want to remind people from my point of view, my belief, from my understanding of the Bible, is that Jesus was sent to us from God, is God, and without the forgiveness of God, we are not going to be forgiven. So they're repenting, turning to God means turning to Jesus. And if he's not the fulfillment of the prophecies, the prophets, and all that he said, the beginning and the last, if he's not the fulfillment of the law, fine. Then I understand. Prove me wrong, because from my understanding, he is the fulfillment of all that the prophets talked about. So with Moses leading out of Egypt, whoever wrote things down and devised paper and all that, whatever. Jesus never needed paper. You know, it was his disciples that lived with him for years. John, for one, talking about John 4, and where I thought you were talking about with what the child was bringing up on Jerry Springer. It's apparent that John, being the disciple, living with him, I think a year and a half or something, walking with him everywhere, I believe him a lot more than I would believe anyone else about Jesus. The commentors about who he might have been and all that, it's pretty clear as day. And if you don't know the Torah, and if you don't know the Jewish Bible that she was talking about, that's fine. You just don't know. But if you do, yeah, you should definitely spread that information. You know, my background is as a Jewish Christian, a Jewish American. My mother being a Russian or Ukrainian type Jewish background.
Oh, I didn't know this about you. Cool.
I think myself, because it's a lot apparent. It's a lot more apparent these days that there's hatred, but it's directed into something that, whether a person that wants to be an Israelite of another race or not. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to be like Israel, have disdain toward Israel, but the true Israelite is not a maker of war. I do not believe that, and I believe that the remnant in Israel, not the Zionists, but the remnant, the one that hears Jesus' words, are to be listened to and to be followed, and the ones that are of this world that listen to their Father, they do not need to be listened to. They're in the same wide road that they're going to enter.
Very interesting. Justin, what does that mean, the fulfillment of the law or whatever? I've heard this before, but what does that mean? Jesus being this fulfillment. I feel like I understand it sort of abstractly, but I don't know what other people mean when they say it.
Yeah, okay. For me, then, I mean, aside from anything I was taught, I would say, from my understanding, is that when Jesus said to love your God with all your heart, mind, strength, and soul is the first and the greatest commandment. The second is like it, to love your neighbor like yourself.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's teaching the fulfillment of the law. You know what I mean? And that's why the
makes total
Sadducees
sense.
and the Essenes didn't like him. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they were
it's like the
against that.
10 Commandments. You can. It is that. Right. I'm following. I remember. I'm following. I'm totally following, actually. Because if you have love, you're devoid of hate. You will follow the commandments. You will follow the law. Okay. And I wanted to ask you one other thing. I forgot. It was about this whole killing God thing. I keep hearing this. People say, I'll hear this a lot. They killed Jesus. They killed God. They killed our God. Da da da. Number one, obviously the most obvious. How can you kill God? Is he God? Exactly. Number one, that's so strange. But number two, where did this come from? Did the people back in the Bible when they crucified Jesus, did they say they killed God? And I'm wondering, like, oh, did we lose Justin? Oh, I didn't press anything, folks. I lost Justin there. If you want to call me back, and if you'd like, Justin, sorry about that. I didn't do anything though. But I'm wondering about that whole phrase, like, they killed God. They killed God. Yeah, like, where'd that come from, I guess, is what I was wondering. Are we getting shut down? Talking about killing God? But why'd they go and do that? Now, why'd they go and do that? Shut it down. But I just think it's a little bit, I think that's like one of those repeated phrases that just you say without really thinking. You just like, oh, they killed Jesus. They killed Jesus. And then you're like, oh yeah, they killed Jesus. And you go into a trance and you stop thinking. And so now you can be redirected. You're like, they killed Jesus, they killed Jesus. And then you're in a fugue trance state. And then they're like, look, and then they'll point your head towards a group or a Jew or something, and be like, look, there's the killers of Jesus. And there you go. You're not an individual. You're of your father, the devil. You know what I mean? I feel like it's one of those phrases people just repeat. They killed God. It's like, wait a second, how can you kill God? And here's another thing. They killed Jesus, they killed God. Wasn't that the whole plan? Like, isn't that the whole thing? Like, let's say you really believe Jesus was God. Then this was all part of God's plan. And let's say he's just the son of God. Well, then it's still part of God's plan. They killed Jesus, they killed God. Isn't that the point? Like, it was part of the story. Like, you know what I'm saying here, right? Like, if you get mad at that, then you are mad at God's plan. And mad at God? Have you even thought this through? Have you even thought this through, what you're saying here? Anyways. Oh, man, did I miss the super chats, folks? Look, I got to say hello and thank you to my super chatters here. Mario Baldo with the latest super chat. Thank you so much. She says, hold up, it's refreshing. She says, hola, Nick. I miss you guys and love you. God bless. Thank you, Mario Baldo. Appreciate that. Carver, thank you for the earlier super chat. Imagine if CNN had to reach super chats. Imagine if the American Anchor Baby read some super chats. And all the lemons over there on D Live. Thank you for that. Beta Legs and my viewers over on D Live. Very cool. Nice. The Romans take part blame. Games for Wreck. They were just doing like, look, the Romans, they had an empire to keep stable. Just like Biden is trying to keep the seams from falling apart in American empire by telling them, hey, no more Islamophobia, no more anti-Semitism, like this clinical response and medicine to the people of America. Take your pill. This is the racism pill so that we may have a union for 50 more years. You know what I mean? Like, devoid of any real depth. But it's for the empire. That's what the Romans were doing. The Jews were all mad. We're going to revolt, Barabbas. I mean, that's how the story goes, right? Someone can correct me. Kill this guy, man. No, or was it Barabbas that they let go? And it was Pontius Pilate. That's what I'm thinking of. We're going to revolt. Pontius Pilate. Hey, maybe Pontius should have just done the right thing anyways. Fair enough. But hey, it's God's plan. You feel me? Anyways, Kohlberger Art, man, thank you for the super chat. Says, good-ish, Nick. I appreciate the super chat, sir. What's up, Steve? Strock Mildegrew, Ohio Sentinel, and TJ Hilliard over there on Rumble. Appreciate the support. Is that it? I think so. That is everything. Barabbas got released. Okay, yeah, that's who it was. I gotta get my my biblical stories straight. I had a friend. I mentioned like they'll bring up the Bible, and I constantly mention like, hey, so what happened in that story? You know, I miss this. I miss this Sunday morning back when I was a kid, and he gave me. I don't know if this is a nudge. I don't know if this is a hint, but he basically gave me like a children's Bible and it has like all the biblical stories. I ain't mad about it. It'll help me. I'm basically a child with the Bible. So yeah, I'm gonna read my picture book Bible. Huh? You go read your boring Bible. Thank you for the ice creams, Games for Rec. Thank you, sir. Shall we do something else, huh? Let's see if I pull up something random. Pull up something different. in this, all this news and stuff we got. What do we got? A few minutes here before the show's over. We got plane news. We could do plane news. You know, we got crazy stuff going on with the airports and the airplanes. Canada, euthanasia, they're crazy. Javier Milei, you guys like that Argentinian guy? You know that Javier Milei? Argentina. What happening with that guy? He's this economist guy who's basically there's a populist uprising in Argentina, they say. Javier Milei. Que viva la libertad, carajo. That's my best, Javier Milei. You might have seen videos of him talking about the left. And so there might be a populist uprising? I don't know. They say there's all these populist uprisings in the world, right? Wasn't Italy supposed to be one? Was it Italy? Who'd they get? Meloni? Giorgia Meloni. What's her name? Giorgia Meloni. Super Sue's supposed to be this far-right, super-based, anti-immigrant Italian, prime minister? She was the blonde beauty that was going to save Italy. How did that work out? She basically went pro-migrant not too long ago, saying she feels bad for them and we got to go out and save them. Because, they get on these boats and they basically go on suicide missions to try and get to the good country where they got the honey and the wine. You know what's crazy about that? Is that these people that get on these boats, now some of these passageways, I believe, like Tunisia to Italy, I think that one is, I think those migrants, they call them, do make the whole trek. But some of these countries, I forget which ones, these people don't even go that far from the coast of their own country. But these NGOs, these non-governmental organizations with these big boats, they go around on humanitarian missions. And then what do? They bring them all the way over to Europe when they're not that far from the coast of the country that they're trying to leave. Go and do your humanitarian mission and save lives of these poor people that are going to drown, but bring them back to their country. What the heck? And they say there was the populists in Brazil, no? But the Brazilian government got brought down by, who was it? Lula da Silva. And then there's Bukele, Salvador, right? President of El Salvador. He seems to be cracking down on crime in a way that's got the South America, got, the Western Hemisphere they're paying attention a little bit. So I wish Javier Milei well. Que viva la verdad! Right on. You know what I'm talking about? Am I making some reference to someone you don't even know? I mean, I'm talking about this guy. I guess I'll show you. I'm talking about Javier Milei.
Afuera. Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible.
Desarrollos. Talking like Messi, talking like Argentine.
Afuera. Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad. Afuera. Ministerio de Obras Públicas. Afuera.
Aunque te resistas.
Ministerio de Ciencia y Tecnología e Innovación. Afuera. Ministerio de Trabajo.
He's saying all these Ministry of Labor, Employment, and all this. He's saying it's time. It's over for them. It's over for them. Indoctrination. Right on.
Afuera. Se acabó el curro de la política. ¡Viva la libertad, carajo!
¡Viva la verdad! Se acabó? Okay, right on, Javier Milei. Well, I'm wishing the Argentines well, because it wasn't that long ago that I reported on it was this giant crowd of women. You remember this? They legalized abortion, basically, in Argentina. And it was the scene of hell. It was like the legions of hell. The legions of hell were released. Remember this? And you know what, Javier? Look, let me show you what I'm talking about. Remember this? Argentina became the largest country in South America that legalize abortion. The legions of hell. Javier Milei, let me just say one suggestion to you, sir. If you do end up, coming into some sort of power, election, or whatever, Javier Milei, this is what you're really up against. Not woke. He doesn't say woke, but or whatever variation in Spanish that you say. Not el ministerio de, not el curro de la política, the thievery of politics, although that is true a problem. No, sir, you're dealing with the legions of hell, the upside down order of God, and the vacuum that has been left by men where evil was allowed to flourish. This is what you're really up against, Javier, so I wish you well. And yeah. Is he a Christian? Anybody know? Right on, y'all. Okay, y'all, that's the show. What can I say? That's American Anchor Baby. I do appreciate all the calls today and the support. Coming at you with more American Anchor Baby tomorrow. Don't miss it. Thursday edition of American... Oh, yes, Thursday edition of American Anchor Baby at 12 o'clock. Don't miss it. We got more Hake Report at 9 and the Jesse Lee Peterson Show, as we all do, 6 a.m. every day, Monday through Friday. That's the show for me, though. Let me see, make sure I didn't miss anything else here, because I do believe that's the show. That's pretty much the show for me. That's all the super chats, the support, the calls, and the topics, folks. Catch me tomorrow for more American Anchor Baby. That's the show. Always appreciate it. As always, take care. Peace.